Hi everybody, it's Tasso. Today I'm going to take you on a short time travel back to school. Can you picture yourself sitting in class and listening to the teacher? I'm sure that sometimes the topic was so engaging, so exciting and interesting that you wish the class would never end. And sometimes you were sitting there wondering, what the heck am I going to use this for in real life? Well, today I'm going to give you an example for just that, and I'm going to do it in a slightly unconventional way to get you thinking and to hopefully inspire you. At least that's the aim. Let's take Newton's laws of motion, for instance. I'm sure that you all are familiar with Newton's laws of motion if you paid attention at school. There are three of them, but I'm going to focus on the first one. The first law says that an object at rest will remain at rest unless a force or until a force acts upon it. And a moving object will continue to move at the same velocity again until a force acts upon it. So to give you an example, picture a football in the stadium. A football is at rest and it will remain at rest. It will not go anywhere unless a player comes and kicks it. Then it transforms from a resting object to a moving object, and it would continue to move at the same speed maybe unless another player comes and hits it into another direction, or as it normally happens then that the force of resistance acts upon it, and so it slows it down and the ball comes back to a rest. Now, what does all of this have to do with personal productivity and performance and behavior and all these things that I normally talk about in my blog? Well, it has, because Newton is everywhere. Have you found yourself, for instance, at work wanting to just capture a few notes that you heard at a meeting? Just finding yourself that you end up completing the whole document? Or at home, you start to just arrange maybe a shelf in the cupboard and end up cleaning the whole house. What does it tell us? It tells us that all it takes sometimes in order to get an amazing amount of stuff done in often very short period of time is a first step. And it doesn't matter how insignificantly small this first step might be, or maybe even unrelated to the original task. It can create a miracle, because once you get going, you keep going. This is Newton at his best. And this avalanche of chain of events is so powerful that it grabs your attention, it grabs your focus, and it's very rarely interrupted. You go from A to Z in no time. Knowing these and using these can have impact in so many ways. So for instance, in the productivity space, experts always advise not to define anything as a project unless you attach a first next action to it. So this next action that always should come along with a task that you define can be, no matter what, it can be very, very small, because it's better to define a small next step that you actually will do rather than a big next step that you won't do. Or let's take the human behavior space, for instance. Experts advise that you make something easier if you want to create a new habit, or you make something more difficult if you want to break a habit. So for instance, if you find yourself eating a lot of chips, one thing that you can do is to put the bag more back in the cupboard, or leave the bag of chips in the cellar where you always would have to go down and pick them up for you. And I've read somewhere that actually only 20 seconds are enough. If you make something 20 seconds, so that it takes you 20 seconds more to access it, you will rethink it and possibly not bother. And the same thing, of course, for the positive side. So if you have a bowl of fruit freshly washed on the table, it's more likely that you eat healthy and you grab a fruit and eat it. Now, this blog is really just a reminder for you. I know you know these things. It's just a reminder for you to use it. So for instance, at work, if you get stuck because you need to prepare a presentation, an intimidating presentation that goes to senior management, or it's very, very important, what you can do is you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to work only 10 minutes on it. Chances are you're going to end up working much, much more on this, and even more, maybe complete it. And even if you work only 10 minutes on it, you work 10 minutes of it, you moved forward. Or for instance, at home, if you have washed your clothes and you see the washed clothes pile up unfolded, what you can say is, listen, I'm going to only fold the socks. Chances are, again, you're going to end up doing much, much more. Or for instance, if you find yourself not going to the gym or outside for a run as you plan to, one thing that you could do is you can prepare your bag and put it next to the door. Like, remember these examples from the behavioral human behavior. If you make it easier accessible, it's more probable that you will do it. Or for instance, you can tell yourself, you know what? I'm gonna just dress up and then see how I feel. Chances are you're not gonna undress again. So once you put in your sports clothes on, you actually will do what it takes. So you see that it's not really that you're lazy or that you can't manage to get things done. It's just that you're in a rest state, and all you need to do is get yourself into a moving state. And so all that is for you to do is to define a very first next step that you can do, something that is small, doable, and even it can be unrelated, but do that first step and let Newton do the rest. I hope this inspired you a little bit. I hope this helped you understand the power of momentum. I hope this gave you some ideas on how to get moving when you find yourself procrastinating, when you find yourself finding excuses not to do something. If you liked it, please subscribe for more. Until the next blog post, all the best.